Objects. You've learnt about variables and arrays already. Imagine you have a game where there are lots of non-player characters, NPCs. You want to be able to store information about them, power, weapon, strength and damage for example. We could store this as lots of individual variables, NPC1 power, NPC1 weapon, NPC1 strength, NPC1 damage, NPC2 power, NPC2 weapon, NPC2 strength, NPC2 damage, etc. But one of the really great things about JavaScript is just how easy it is to create a data structure that stores data in just the way you like it. If you're new to programming, then you won't understand how useful this is. But trust me, it is. Instead of using 4 variables to store the data for each NPC, we can create an object that stores the variables in a single structure, like this. We use curly braces and name-value pairs. A name-value pair is separated using a colon. Open index.html from the folder Start, Lesson 6, to code along with this lesson. Let's create a function that will generate an object, like this. It's a function, so we use the function keyword. We'll call the function createNPC. And the first thing we'll do is generate a power value. It will take a value between 0.5 and 1. So far in this course we've met the date object. Another vital object is the math object. This has many useful methods and we'll meet 2 of them as we create this function. The first method is random. This returns a pseudo-random number between 0 and 1. The number could be any decimal value in this range, but we want a number in the range 0.5 to 1. So, we multiply this value by 0.5. Now we have a number in the range 0 to 0.5. This is still not what we want. We need to add 0.5 to move the range to 0.5 to 1. If this is confusing, imagine that math.random returned 0.8. We multiply this by 0.5. Now the value is 0.4. Then we add 0.5 to get 0.9. That's in the target range. What if math.random returned 0.1? We multiply by 0.5, getting 0.05. Then we add 0.5 to get 0.55. Again, in the desired range 0.5 to 1. Math.random is a great method to use for random assignment of object properties. Next we create an array of weapons. Then we select a weapon at random using this array. How do we do that? We use math.random times weapons.length and we'll get a value between 0 and weapons.length. Actually it will always be just less than weapons.length because math.random never returns 1. It can return 0.99999 but never 1. With math.random times weapons.length we have a decimal value, but to select an item from an array we need an integer value. We wrap the code inside another math.method, floor. This returns the integer part of a decimal value. So math.floor 2.85 equals 2 and math.floor 1.289 returns 1. Now we have a value that, depending on the return value of math.random, returns one of the integer values 0, 1, 2, 3. If the value is 0, then weapon will be set to sword. If it's 1, weapon will be pistol, 2 axe and 3 spear. Can you set the strength? We want a value in the range 1 to 3. Use math.random, a multiplier and add a value. Pause the video and give it a try. It will be math.random times 2 plus 1. Damage is even easier. We simply default it to 0. Creating an object from these values is just a case of entering curly braces, then listing them separated by commas. This will be the same as using these name-value pairs. The function will return an object like this. We can create an array to hold our NPCs. Unsurprisingly, we'll call it NPCs. Then to add an NPC to the array, we use push with the function call in brackets. This is going to call the function createNPC, which returns an NPC object. This is pushed onto the end of the array. If we repeat this 3 times, we should have an array of NPCs. Save your work, and if live server is running, view this page. Enter npcs.length and you'll get the response 3. Now enter npcs 0. If you press the little arrow, you can see more clearly the 4 properties of the first NPC in the array. If we're just interested in what weapon the first NPC has, we use npcs0.weapon. Or to get the power value of the second NPC, we use npcs1.power. Everything about each NPC is encapsulated in the single object. Just as we did with the string object, we use a dot to separate the object from the property. Later in this section you'll see how you can even add your own custom methods. Let's look back on what you've learnt so far in the course. First you discovered variables, then you learnt about functions, you learned how your code can branch in different directions using conditions, you learned to keep lots of variables in a list using arrays, and now you know about keeping lots of variables together in an object. With arrays you access an individual item using an index value, and with an object you use a property name. Often in code you will want to repeat a section of code several times, like in this lesson where we repeated creating NPCs. Rather than just pasting the same code 3 times, like we did here, much better to use loops. And that's what we'll do in the next lesson.